I'm under contract by the UFC, and he said this all well that I'm fighting next. I mean, as if he does not know I'm fighting next week, and he's like, I'll fly you to Puerto Rico. Come to the PI next week. Come to the PI next week and bring $1 million in your bag, and I will spar with you.
Jake Paul has drafted a new offer to Paddy Pimblett amid the pair's feud over the YouTube star allegedly fixing his fights. The UFC star claimed in a recent interview that he had seen footage indicating that Paul's major knockdown blow in the 8th round of his fight with Anderson Silva never even landed. He believes that the video he saw proves that the YouTuber-turned-boxer has fixed his fights, which angered his rival. Paul then offered for the pair to spar after his fight at UFC 282 with Jared Gordon, claiming that he would be willing to take on Pimblett for free in a gym at his Puerto Rico training base. The social media star said he will soon be entering camp for his February ring return, and won't be able to come to America once he starts training seriously. The Scouts fighter agreed to Paul's terms, which included that he would have to join Paul's United Fighters Association if he were to lose their 5-round boxing session. The American offered him a massive $1 million payout if he was to win when their pair met, with location now the only issue in the way. "Bella, my team told me that you've been trying to book me for your podcast January 5th, Paul said in a message to Pimblett on Twitter. So I'm sending you a jet to bring you to Puerto Rico. Both of our teams will film, we spar, 5 rounds, and then we can do your podcast. By then, you'll be back to your normal weight, no excuses." He also shared a handshake emoji with a question mark. Pimblett wanted Paul to fly to the UFC Performance Institute for a spar on the Monday following UFC 282, but it appears that he won't budge on the session taking place in Dorado. The Scouts fighter is set to face Gordon in the co-main event of his first pay-per-view, and wanted just a day after the fight to relax before taking on Paul.
Poor Paddy Pimblett, man. I was really wanting to like you. I really was. You got a cute little thing going for you, man. But then you come out and you say my fight against Anderson Silva was rigged. I'm sick and tired of this narrative. It's pathetic. It's stupid. You're disrespecting the own GOAT of your own sport. You're saying that Anderson Silva is a criminal. You're saying he's a fraud. You're saying that Viacom, one of the biggest media companies in the world, is doing criminal stuff. That's what you're saying. It's stupid. It's pathetic. But I have a proposition for you. Since you wouldn't rig a fight, right? Let's spar. Fly to Puerto Rico. I'll get you a private jet. We can do 5 3-minute rounds boxing. If you win, I'll give you $1 million, which is what you deserve to get paid, Paddy. You know it. But the UFC's not paying you that. You deserve to get paid more. But if I win, you have to join the United Fighters Association and help me sign up all of the fighters in the UK. So let's spar. Since you wouldn't rig a fight, I'll fly you out. $1 million for you. Put your money where your mouth is. Let's go.
He gets the best coaches in, the best nutritionists, and stuff like that. Jake Paul is actually not that bad now, even though I think his fights are fixed. Pimblett said during a recent episode of Pub Talk to start their feud, and asked if he really feels that the fights are rigged. Pimblett doubled down by adding, "Yeah, but I don't think the Tyron Woodley knockout was fixed. When you get knocked out like that, you land face first. If you're not unconscious, you'd go, put your arms out, you can't help, it's a human reaction. I seen an angle of the punch that he hit Anderson Silva with the other day, where he sat down and he didn't even hit him." Pimblett has previously entertained challenges from the Paul brothers, with Jake's older brother Logan claiming that he wants to face the Brit in his UFC debut. Jake has also previously indicated that he would like to fight Pimblett, but it wouldn't be possible due to his exclusive UFC contract. If Jake Paul wants to spar UFC rising star Paddy Pimblett, he'll have to come to him. Paul on Tuesday offered Pimblett $1 million if he could beat him in sparring. The offer was in response to Pimblett accusing the YouTube star turned professional boxer of fixing his fights. "I have a proposition for you," Paul said in a video posted on Twitter. "Since you wouldn't rig a fight, right? Let's spar. Fly to Puerto Rico, I'll get you a private jet, we can do 5 3-minute rounds of boxing. If you win, I'll give you $1 million, which is what you deserve to get paid, Paddy, but the UFC isn't paying you that. But if I win, you have to join the United Fighters Association and help me sign up all the fighters in the UK. So let's spar, since you wouldn't rig a fight. I'll fly you out, $1 million for you, put your money where your mouth is, let's go." Pimblett, who faces Jared Gordon in the UFC 282 co-main event on December 10th at T-Mobile Arena, responded to Paul's challenge with a counteroffer. He told Paul to meet him in Las Vegas instead. "Of course I'm interested, but I'm under contract by the UFC." And he said this knowing full well that I'm fighting next week. Pimblett told TMZ, as if he doesn't know I'm fighting next week, and he's like, "I'll fly you to Puerto Rico, come to the PI next week. Come to the PI next week and bring $1 million in a bag, and I will spar with you." I'm in the PI in Vegas on Thursday, I'll land on Thursday, so even though I'm low on calories and I'm only about 170, he likes picking on smaller people anyway. But if he wants to wait until after my fight, until the Monday, because I'm still in Vegas until Tuesday, when I'm about 185, 190 pounds, I'm game. Tell him not to worry, he can come to the PI, and we'll get into the cage. Simple as. Pimblett's counteroffer didn't get past Paul, who responded Wednesday morning on Twitter. As long as Pimblett is under UFC contract, he knows a boxing match with Paul won't happen. But if they ever did fight, Pimblett thinks that he would work him. I don't even think he's a bad boxer, Pimblett said. I think he's a decent boxer now, because all he's done is boxing in this past few years. I think he'd beat Tommy Fury, but I know he wouldn't beat me. He continued, "Lad, I've been doing this a lot longer than you, mate. I've got more heart and grit and determination than you. And if we did get the fight done, I'd just focus on boxing for 3 to 6 months. I'd punch him around the ring." When it comes to the fallout from his fights, Jake Paul is no stranger to people claiming that the result was never in doubt. Ever since he first fought Ben Askren back in March 2021, there have been plenty of claims that his fights are fixed. The YouTuber turned boxer has constantly dismissed those claims, and he's even had the support of other fighters, as well as the likes of Joe Rogan. Though, following his win over Anderson the Spider Silva, Jake was accused of fixing his fights once again by Paddy Pimblett. In response to the UFC's counterclaim, Jake offered him $1 million for a boxing sparring session during his training camp in Puerto Rico. The Scouser countered that by asking him to fly to Las Vegas to make it happen by December 5th. Well, Jake has since countered that counter with a date for the two to square off, and it includes sitting down for a post-fight podcast as well after a few rounds of work. Pimblett has already agreed to spar with Jake, but he'd rather it happen before January, especially as he's almost in fighting shape as it stands. Fans will be hoping that he stays interested enough to have things go down in the new year. But who knows? Jake isn't exactly well loved with the higher ups in the UFC either.